Speaker. Toast, toast, toast. Oh yeah, it is picking up. That's cool. That's cool. Cool, bruh. Cool story. Lit fam. So audios work? Work, 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 work. I gotta do something about where this camera sits. But it's audio. So maybe I don't. Maybe I do. I'm gonna sit up my seat though. Ay. Now I'm actually in the frame. Kind of. I'm now further from the mic. Microphone. Microphone checker. Extreme neck protector. Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to do this thing where I use the AI robots to make my eyes look at the camera. It's pretty great. But at least just need to look in the general direction of the camera. Ironically, I need to rearrange my desk in order to make that happen though. We're gonna we're gonna play around. Look around, and see if I can't. Zip, 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 zip. Zips. Zip, zip. Why is it turning? Well, if I look tilted, too bad. But here is the exercise. Exorcise. Jazzercise? Exercise? Exercise your jazz? Aaron won't like that. Fortunately, she's not here yet. And so I'm gonna talk to myself. I'm gonna sing to myself because that's what I do when I'm by myself. Actually, this is kind of what I do randomly. Burst into song. Voodad the musical. The hills are alive with the sounds of undead zombies. They rise from the graves in their bony way. I'm texting her. Maybe she will show. Maybe she'll talk to me. And then somebody will talk to me. Nobody talks to me. It's sad out here for a witch doctor. You know, it's hard out here for a PM when they trying to get that money for the rent. Da 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 da. Been a whole lot of people talking shit. Doom 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 boom goom 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 goom. Post to present. Oh my god, bro, really? You there? You're on mute.
Yes, hello. I'm trying to fix the computer.
Do you have a
Hi.
you have a face? That's your face.
Yay! And our water heater.
Uh, yes,
So exciting.
yes. You want to show off your shirt though?
Oh, that's good.
Cause it's gangsta. Bang,
What? Love it.
right?
So good. I love this whole collection of shirts that you've gotten me.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they're pretty awesome. I actually really like your Mother of Dragons.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
big fan.
And the Party Mom, that
Oh,
was
that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
yeah.
I
You'll have
like Mother of Dragons and the Book Dragon.
the Book Dragon's great.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Um I am not gonna lie, I'm actually Loki, the god of mischief.
Okay.
No, I'm low-key frustrated because right before I got onto this call, I had just sent like two separate iterations of a data request to one of my coworkers,
Hmm.
and he was like, can you do this other thing?
No.
Okay. And so I did. And then he looked at the data and he's like, can you do this other thing? And I'm like, bro. And the thing is, it blew up my computer the first time because I'm running massive data sets, especially because like one guy, so these two guys want basically the same report for the same reason. One guy's in marketing, the other guy's in product. But the thing is, um, product guy wants 6 months, whereas marketing guy wants 12 months, but it's the same data set. And I'm like, bro, make up your mind.
Right? Y'all just use the same thing.
I know. And so that's what I was thinking is I was like, oh, let me just give you both the same shit,
Yeah.
different day. Or well, same day. So then I don't have to do as much. But then they're like, oh, I need things. Oh, needs. Oh.
They went all cat on you.
Yeah, right.
Neat.
And I'm like, I got meetings, yo. And
Right?
then Harvey, whom I love, is
Mhm. We're big Harvey fans.
we're Harvey fans. And then Harvey hits me up and he's like, hey, can I get this thing? And I'm like, bruh, I fielded all of these requests today, and you know, I'm working on your stuff, but there's a lot I got to go over.
Yeah. Your
And
paycheck
everyone's like,
says,
well, we're in a hurry and everything's on fire and blah, blah, blah,
because
blah.
that's how they roll.
And
That's all
so
they can do.
I mean, I put in my work today. I earned my paycheck today. I earned
I
the
was gonna
fuck out of my
say,
paycheck today.
yeah, your paycheck has been very earned.
Yo, and these motherfuckers, oh, needs.
Mm.
Needy coworkers.
Yeah.
And everybody's in a hurry. Everybody's got needs, and who
And
do? They call the wizard and they're like, Nathan, we need magic.
fix
Give me
it.
magic. And I'm like,
Yeah.
fine, you know? And the only reason I had to do this one thing is because some other dude apparently he quit and
Oh,
he tapped out. And I was like, yo, team NTO, never tap out.
right? Man.
Um,
Another one bites the dust. I feel like that's three.
yeah, it is. That's not a great sign. It's
No,
like
no,
three in
like a week or
2 months.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, three drops in 8 weeks, and that's the ones that I've heard about. Woo.
Yikes.
They're dropping like flies, Captain.
Right.
Uh. Um, Also, can I tell you a thing that like we talked about uh Jim's baby situation happening soon.
Hmm.
And I realize we have like a bunch of boy names and I got a couple of girl names like in the back burner.
Hmm.
Um, but I was like, I'd like some more options, you know?
Yeah.
I'd like
Hmm.
some more things in the bullpen, if
Yeah,
you
we should
will.
put some lady names on deck.
I did while I was waiting. So I set something to run and then I just like let it go.
Hmm.
And while it's let it go, can't hold it back anymore. Excel, let it go.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I let this Excel sheet run. Um and it's so dumb. I like I'm proud of myself. So I went from SQL to Tableau to Excel to like and there and back again. I did a Tableau
Love it
prep.
still.
I did a a whole daily bob. I'm just like bouncing back and forth with all these things and translating from system to system is just taking forever because we're fucking Cretaceous period with this technology. That's so funny. I'm like, oh, I was using these three different technological tools and we're in the Stone Ages.
I know, right?
Um, because I know that there are tools that can do this stuff. I know that there are platforms that can manage all of this stuff. Just like that.
You're
But
like, they're out there, I'm sure.
we don't got them.
Yeah.
And, my boss on the call today was just like, hey, I don't want to hear about AI for like internal work stuff. I only want AI for like external stuff. He's like, we're not trying to save costs. We're trying to make this money though. And I mean, okay,
I
he's the head of
mean,
product, so I'm not mad at that. But at the same
okay.
time, I was just like, help me, help me, please. Um,
Oh,
Yeah, and I actually, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to send in a request of my own for the data engineer and be like, build me this on automation so I don't have to send 30 reports every fucking month manually
nice.
because that's next week. Ah!
And they pushed your MBR all the way back to Friday, the last day of the month.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. So I hope nobody that I work with is going to join this call or listen to my podcast. Oops. Shh. Shh. I don't have any followers. No one will know. Um,
Oh.
womp womp. But actually, it's fine because I find this all embarrassing anyway. Because oh my God, oh my God, I'm having this thing now where I'm like, oh, should I tell him, Aaron? I wrote a rap song.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and I'm like, I was rather pleased with myself.
You should be.
Also,
It's
I'm
very
actually
clever.
what?
You should be. It's very clever.
Yeah, I'm thinking of adding another stanza in there. Just because it's a little short. I didn't think in terms of like how many bars. I just kind of like
Road.
wrote until was satisfied that I had a nice little story arc.
Hmm.
Um, but it would probably be better if I, like they do, what is it, 16 bars for how many bars in a rap song? 16 bars per verse and 8 bars for the chorus. However, structures vary. Some verses last 12, 20, 24, even 32 bars. Woo. Um,
Okay.
Almost always in 4/4. And so,
16 bars is real standard too. They do that in the blues too. 16 bar blues.
yeah, but that's like one verse, right? How many verses are there? Um,
Probably 3 to 4.
how many verses? 2 to 4. Okay. So if I do 16 bars for 4 verses, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You like the style that just is one continual story. You don't like to
I
keep doing the
do.
chorus.
I don't fuck
You
with
know.
choruses,
No,
which
no,
is
and I
funny
like it.
because
It
I
works for
sing.
you. I
What?
know, but that style, that more like continual storytelling freestyle vibe really works for you.
I love listen. That's been my thing ever since like, it's funny. I got into freestyles in high school. with Ludacris, which is funny because like that was Ludacris is not like the guy you think of when you think of freestyle, but,
No, but I bet
I
he's
got his CD and his CD was good and he had a couple of freestyles on there and I was like, "Oh, that's really good."
nice.
I make niggas eat dirt and fart dust and give you an $80 gift certificate to pussies all rust. I eat the whole pie and leave nothing but the crust so you can seal what it's like with instinct but no guts, or a Mac with no nuts, or a, oh no, or a sack with no nuts, or a Mac with no sluts. Give me a full body massage. I still can't be touched. They call me see more butts because I get more ass than most and call me next and got that brother love. Don't get too close. Follow the leader because I'm meaner than Abdullah Oblongata. My tribes are more quests than midnight marauders. It's all pina coladas. No cops and robbers taking trips back and forth from here to the Bahamas. I hump more than llamas, get rolled more than tires. If you say that I'm not nice, then you's a motherfucking liar. Entitled to your opinion into the next millennium. So many major coins that I thought I had a million. I was like, yo, that's so cool.
I really like Ludacris actually. He's pretty
You
great.
know? And
Yeah.
I heard that stuff and I was just like, oh, I'm super into it. And then I got into Freestyle Friday
Hmm.
because when I was at Penn State, I had a friend who had a friend who was on Freestyle Friday, and he like killed it. And so we would just like watch his rap battles and cheer this guy on. And I played one for you
Hmm.
just the other day, and
Yeah.
he was rocking the Penn State gear, so that was
Yeah,
cool.
that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Um,
great.
so I don't know. I just love freestyles, and now I'm into like LA Leakers, and J. Cole does that
Hmm.
one that I really like. They got Mac Miller,
Hmm.
and then Black Thought. Ooh,
So good.
Black Thought has like a 10-minute freestyle, and he just goes.
I am
He
not
just goes.
surprised.
He's throwing out Henry Kissinger's and you know
Ah, come on.
Tigris and Euphrates. Wow,
That's
wow.
awesome. So
Wow.
good.
And so I don't know. I love that style. And lately, I mean, shoot, it's so funny. I come to the scene like years and years too late. So I'm like finding King Los, 5 years after the fact. But
Oh, he was really good.
he was good. He
Yeah,
was
really
good.
good.
So I was like, oh, let me try my hand at this. I can write stuff and I like poetry. So let me make a freestyle or make a freestyle style written beat. So it's not freestyle, but it's written, but it
Yeah,
sounds like as if it were a freestyle.
nice.
Um, so one of these days I'm gonna put that into the world.
I love it.
Um, but speaking of me being embarrassed with things, this is the other thing I'm embarrassed by. Man, why do I don't like that feeling.
No.
I don't like that feeling. You know what it is? I'm nervous. It's because mm, I don't know where people are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know where people are at. I don't know where they're coming from. Why do I care? Well, because as a performer, you want somebody to enjoy your shit,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
As a
ideally.
product manager or like a business owner, you want somebody to use your shit,
Yeah.
right? So that's where I am. It's like, you know, we put it out there and what do they say? Failure is feedback. That's fine. Um, but at the same time, it's like, oh, they're looking at me. Which is funny
Yeah.
because I've got like fucking face tattoos and I stand out in every fucking crowd, but I'm like, they're looking at me on the internet and now I feel weird. Because I
Well,
can't, you know what it is? I can't look
can't
at them
look
back.
back. Yeah.
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 I was literally
Mm.
just gonna say that. Like in person, you can at least have a face off, you
I
know?
want to take his face. Oh.
Oh my God. That movie really upset me, by the way. I
It
was
was upsetting on multiple levels.
it was
Oh.
really upsetting. I was like, I'm really uncomfortable. Um, what a weird movie. Anyway, yeah, but when you can't look somebody in the eye and they're having a response to you, yeah, there's just no because there's no like feedback loop. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They can
Mm-hmm.
have whatever response they want to have to you, but you won't get to experience it unless they choose to share it with you. And then there's no guarantee that they will receive your feedback in return.
Yeah, the anonymity of the internet is like Because I hear people, like people say things. This is why I actually like, this is why I tend to not play online video games, or I just like stopped and I'll only play like multiplayer with friends because um I'm like the trash talk, the internet trash talk is just too much. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh God, you guys are ruining my enjoyment of the game, you know?
Yeah.
And
Totally.
I don't actually like it's crazy. I don't mind any kind of trash talk on the football field. Guys are like talking your mother, they're, like
Whatever.
talking about all the shit on the football field. I don't mind because I can hit you later legally.
Hey.
But, on the game, it's like these guys are like, oh, this guy's a noob. Oh, your mother sucks. Blah 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 blah. And I'm just like this some fucking 13-year-old, you know, and I could flick him into oblivion, but
Mhm.
he's got the safety of anonymity and he's got an infinite amount of time to play this game,
Yeah.
because he's skipping out on his homework. Meanwhile, I got bills to pay, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, uh,
I get why you don't like it. I don't really like
so
it either.
yeah. And so, now I got the internet and I'm putting stuff out and I'm just like,
Yeah.
so along those notes, um, we're making a thing. We're making a product.
Hmm.
And I've been thinking about this in terms of, what do I say household mojo is? Is it we're lifting curses and exorcising demons. And when it comes to family matters, well, what am I? I'm an MBA. I work in corporate. Like this is what I do in terms of how I manage business and strategy and data. And I'm a department of one, so I'm constantly fielding requests from product, from finance, from customer service. So all of these sort of little management things, I'm a product manager. But I make data products and I distribute those data products to other people. And I don't have so I have a help desk function, but I also have like a technical function, but I also have a qualitative function because I have to figure out what are the questions to ask, what are the things that these people are thinking about. I was on a product call today. We walked through you know, we're working with these facilities and we found exactly where the problem is. And now we've got to go in and figure out how we're going to create behavior change. And I just read, what was it? I read on Sunday morning this thing about, product management and engagement. And then I wrote all of these notes down on this thing about how do you make your project or your product actually a thing that adds value to somebody, but that they continue to want to work with um and solves a problem. So I was thinking, this is exactly what we're trying to do. Is I look at families and there's a lot of burnout and there's a lot of people are like, I don't know what to tell my kids. There's gentle parenting, there's neglectful parenting. So gentle parenting has just sort of become like a catch-all for neglect the fuck out of your children.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
gentle parenting equals passive parenting. And what Christopher's fiance, his is a kid teacher, and we
preschool.
have
Yeah.
right? And so she's like, man, that passive parenting shit sucks. Those um
Yeah.
yeah. So, what kind of tools can we give parents from a management perspective? Because this is the other thing that I'm frustrated with, and you've heard this from me, but the audience probably hasn't. But I'm very bearish on therapy. Um,
And you have tried. It's not that you haven't given therapy a go.
I've tried all of the things. I'm like, this is the thing is that, if there's a thing that has a possibility, I'll try it out. I'll try anything 2, 3, 10, 25 times.
You like the bibliotherapy.
That's it, you know. Bibliotherapy was the thing that got me. So David Burns wrote a book called Feeling Good, but he also wrote a book on anxiety, and I read both of those. The Feeling Good is about depression, and it's about um, how do you work with that? But the irony is that, or not, I don't know if it's even irony. It wasn't like, oh, let me therapize you and let me listen to you talk about your childhood and then say, well, something happened to you back in your past, and because that thing happened to you, now you respond to this, and you have a trauma, and we gotta, Jesus,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So this is my concept is, did we talk about this in the last one with Jim? We mentioned it briefly, I think. Um,
Briefly, I don't think we got into it though.
but the idea is, you had this guy, Freud, who was a Jewish guy, and the average person didn't want to work with him, and so he ended up working a lot with ladies, and the ladies said you talk too much, and so he turned into the non-directive listener because that's what a lot of women want. Is they just want to tell you what their fucking feelings are and figure their shit out. And
I
then
actually
once they've
really,
gotten it out, they're like, "Oh, I know exactly what I need to do now. Thanks, bye."
right. I actually really love that story. That's really funny to me.
Yeah. Meanwhile, dudes, we want like sets and reps. It's like, what do you want me to do?
Hmm.
Girl talks to you and says, "Oh my God," and she tells you the thing, and then you're like, "Okay," and she's like, "Well, what do you think? Well, how do you feel about it? Why are you just, what do you?" And he's like, "What do you want me to do about it? Don't you feel anything? Why are you so cold? You're a monster." You know? And really, it's because he's like, "I don't know what my action items are, lady."
Which is so funny because I think women also are infamous for the line of, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to listen. And
Right.
that's
And he's
like
like,
when you do just listen, they're like, well, don't you have anything to say? Like, how do you feel about it? And you're like, I heard you.
I don't know what I don't want to know what you. It's like, what do you want me to do about this? And it's like,
And
I
that's the
want you
thing.
to feel what I feel and feel it in the way that I feel it, and then let me know that you feel what I feel.
So mostly they want validation then. They don't want a solution or for you to take an action. They want however much time it takes them to feel like they've expressed themselves and for you to go, totally, a
Yeah.
100%.
I'm so bad at those, like the cooing noises. Oh yeah, oh girl, that bitch, yeah,
You
oh
did that to me, I'd be
honey.
like, you're making fun of me and not listening.
Well, but here's the thing. You are excellent at this thing. You are a great, what's the term? Empathetic witness, where you are there to just absorb what they are saying and then make the acknowledging noises. And the acknowledging noises are, listening. I actually responded to Jim. Jim had a really good comment. About this sort of thing, and he's like, I'm used to these westerns, and like the guy is like silent and stoic, and I said, well, actually the guy isn't just silent and stoic for no reason. This is what like Captain Marvel gets wrong. They're just like, oh, she's gonna be tough now, so she just gotta shut up and stare. And now it's like, what is your stage presence? Non-existent. You're not intimidating, just physically looking at you. And so when you just stare at me, it looks like you're just a blank canvas. So that's the rub. A really like scary looking guy who looks at you and doesn't stop looking at you, that's intimidating. But, like, I don't know, 130-pound woman who's staring at you, if it's not your mother, I ain't intimidated, homie. Sorry.
Yeah.
She might have laser beams, but if she doesn't, she's not like when she's radiating and she's doing the whomp whomp and like blowing through spaceships, yeah, that's some intimidation. Yeah. But if she's not glowing and she's just looking at me, I'm like, are we about to make
See,
out?
see, that's the thing. I think that whole thing of like, oh, that woman's really intimidating because of her presence. I'm sure that exists in some women, but I think to truly be intimidated by a woman, you have to know her well enough to know what her like looks mean, what her silence means, what her like the way she talks to you means. And I'd be like, if I knew a woman well enough to be like, ooh, that silence means she's really pissed off, or that thing means this that she's not saying, then I'm
Yes.
intimidated because then I know what to look for.
Yes. So back to David Burns in his bibliotherapy, what he did is he made a questionnaire and he has this list, and then you're supposed to review it every week. And
Okay.
you fill out on a score of 1 to 5, this questionnaire, and it calls it an inventory or something, and you fill out the questionnaire, and at the end you get a score. And then it tells you basically this is your mood, this is your depression level, um, and then the next week you do it again, and then you get get the score again. So what your goal is to increase your attitude score over time.
Oh, I like that.
And so the thing is, if you're low in one category, then you need to work on this behavior. And so if you work on that behavior over the course of the week, the next week your score should improve.
How many categories are there?
I don't remember. It was like 4 or 5.
Cool.
But that shit worked. He gave
That's
me
really
sets and
practical.
reps.
You know who else talks about like that true sets and rep style of like cognitive behavioral therapy is our other that guy we like on YouTube, Orion Taraban.
Oh yeah.
When he talks about his actual, I mean, he gives a lot of like mini lectures and like dissertations rather than therapizing people online. But when he talks about his practice, he's like, if you don't want to like, you just want me to listen to you, if you don't want actionable change, then I'm not a good fit for you as a provider because I'm
Yeah.
here to actually solve whatever it is that's bothering you, not just listen to you tell me about it.
Yeah. And this is my thought process is that most people are just farting. Like most complaints are just, oh, I've been holding that in for a while and I needed to fart it out. And
That's
so
weird.
people just fart their feelings. And you feel some relief after you farted, but at the same time, why do you keep having gas? Well, you keep having gas because you keep eating the beans or you keep eating the Cheetos and Mountain Dew, you
Yeah.
know? And so, of course, your gut is fucked up. It's because you're taking in all kinds of junk.
Mhm.
And if you don't stop the behavior pattern, which creates the upset stomach and gas, you know, you're gonna keep having upset stomach and gas.
Yeah, you're gonna keep feeling like terrible.
Yeah, so that's the rub I have with traditional therapy. I like CBT. I really like the idea of like cognitive distortions and identifying what are your cognitive distortions. Mine tend to be catastrophizing. I think of everything in terms of the worst case scenario, and then discounting the positive. So I tend to add more weight to negative things than to positive things, and so.
I'm really excellent at taking responsibility for things that are completely outside my control.
Yeah. Yeah. Yay. So, like, just that. Okay. Well, you now have identified what the issue is, and then you have an action step. So it's like, okay, if I'm discounting the positive, let me add equal weight to both the positive and the negative things, right? If you are having a problem with taking responsibility for something outside of your control, then you've got to do your 12 step and serenity prayer, and give me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. The
Courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
And that's the thing, is the wisdom to know the difference is the hard is I think that's the hardest part, you know?
Oh,
Yeah. So this is what
especially because for me, I'm like, oh, if I have such a high sense of personal responsibility that I'm like, I can always find something that I feel was in my control that could have impacted the situation. I can always find something that I'm like, oh, I should have done this, or I could have done this differently, or I didn't do this. So it's very easy for me to come up with something.
and am I really going to be mad that you want to be super responsible? No. But at the same time, this is a hard one where we try to take responsibility for things in the realm of fate or the realm of acceptance. And it's like, yo, it's raining. You cannot like stop the rain. Yeah, okay, people will do rain dances and things, but I don't know how effective they are on, on the regular.
Mhm.
So what you can do is you can get an umbrella, right? And
Right, and an
so
appropriate coat.
that's the thing, and we talked about this with the overlapping bullseyes, where the one bullseye was your comfort zone, right? So you've got the comfort zone, then the tolerant zone, and then the torture zone, and then the other one was the realm of control, and then influence, and then acceptance,
Yeah.
and they're not the same. And one of my challenges was, or is, I suppose, that I'm still working on it, is figuring out how to operate on the things that I can control. Because if I imagine that both bullseyes are the same, there might be something in my realm of control that is merely uncomfortable. I'm totally fine with that. But if there's something that's in the realm of influence and it makes me uncomfortable, I'm like, oh, well, I can control that. But it's not, right? I'm okay with being uncomfortable to the point where I will basically make, you know, bad bets, bad probability rolls because I'm operating in the realm of influence rather than in the realm of control. Because
Mhm.
sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I'll drive myself batshit,
Yeah.
trying to um, control something that I only influence.
Yeah.
So that's a perception issue for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, into the realm of control, this is where we talk about the family fond pack. Whoop.
So it's all about it.
Okay. So this is a product that we're trying to make, and the Fond Pack is Fond is my acronym for Financial Operational Network and Defense, and this is something that every organization has. You got to manage the money, you got to run the biz, you've got to have people that show up to your thing, whether they're vendors, customers, partners, stakeholders, whatever.
Yeah.
And then defense. You got to defend your must protect his house. Um,
Mhm.
so those are the four things that are any organization, and this is no different for running your household. You've still got to make the money. KTLO, keep the lights on. You still got to RTB, run the business. And well, the network is both internal and external. Um, and defensive is physical and now digital security. So in looking at these four departments or institutions, if you will, I was like, what are the things that people need to do? So we came across the framework, and this is what I was talking about yesterday. And this came out in, oh my God, it was like long time ago now. I think it was 2009, and it was Tavel's hierarchy of engagement. And it's everywhere now. And this is why everything feels like a casino. It's because behavioral economics really took center stage. And once the companies got a hold of it, it was Lord Farquaad all over the place.
Absolutely.
And
Is
what
this
that
something you've explained to me before? I don't remember that name.
Oh, it's the engagement retention perpetuation.
Oh, okay.
It's the framework we talked about on Sunday. But I didn't refer to it by like Tavel's hierarchy.
Hmm.
This is just the lady who wrote an article about it in Medium in 2009, like
Okay, I got it. Got it.
yeah. So I'm looking at this article and I'm going through it and I'm like, wow, this is really good. And this was brought to my attention from a book on product management because I'm trying to figure out, what do the PMs know? What does my boss know that I don't know? How can I better
Mhm.
supply metrics for these people? And so how can I apply this to the product I'm building right now? And, how do I produce something that is helpful for people? In such a way that they don't just like buy the thing and then not use it, because that's a lot of the case. And it really comes down to what's your core action. This is also from the crucial influence book from the Crucial series, Crucial Conversations, Crucial Accountability, Crucial Influence. I love these books. They work great for parenting stuff, but they also work for you.
And you just reread all three, right? Like this summer.
I haven't finished Accountability yet.
Okay.
But yeah, the crucial influence framework is really good because it's the BIDAR chain, right? But it takes like the latter portion of the BIDAR chain and it jumps over the D in the middle. So BIDAR is beliefs, interpretation, decision, action, result. So your beliefs are essentially your contracts and stories about the world, right? So terms, conditions, definitions, and examples, right? That's what your beliefs actually are. People are like, oh, you believe this. Well, when you say you believe something, what does that mean? You hear in like the personal development, like self-help guru world is like, change your limiting beliefs. And it's like, what do you mean by that? How do you do that? And I struggled with this for years and years. And I was like, oh, so I believe this thing, and that thing that you believe may or may not be empirically true. And then you can believe something that actually is really beneficial to you, even though it's not quite true. Right.
Mhm. It
But
happens all the time.
right, everybody.
Mhm.
So, what you believe impacts how you interpret the event. That's the crucial conversations portion of the framework, where it's like you have the observation of the event, and then you have the story that you tell yourself, and then you have the feelings that are associated with the story that you've told yourself, and that's the interpretation portion. So if you believe a thing, the story or the contract, and then you feel the thing, then you will have because you interpreted the laws of your own mind, your own psyche in this way. And so then you're now having a response that may or may not be based on empirical reality. And that's how we tend to talk to people.
Mhm.
Ooh, right? So with all of that, I said, okay, now how do I influence somebody to change behavior? Right? How do we influence the kids to change behavior? This is what we did with reading. And so with reading, we're trying to get, young Gecko to improve his reading. And I kept saying, well, go read more. And he's like, ugh. And then I said, wait a minute. What is the core action? What is the behavior that I want him to do? Because
What does
what
reading mean?
what does reading mean? And like this seems like the most ridiculous semantic conversation. But if I say go read the book, am I telling him pass your eyes over the words and flip pages? Because if he does, then that's not going to help his comprehension at all.
No, but then he's like, I read it. And then you want to be like, well, what happened? And he's like, I don't really remember, but I read it. And you're like, well, then
Yeah.
what's the point?
Right. And so what I'm not actually asking him to just read. I'm asking him to comprehend and reflect. Ooh. Attention, comprehension, retention, recall. Because I want him to be able to tell me about what he read and answer questions about it. So that's the outcome I want. So what is the behavior that creates that outcome, right? What's the action that creates the result?
Yeah.
And so what I told him is, okay, read a chapter, and then I want you to write me a minimum of 6 bullet points for a timeline of events of what happened in the story. Then I want you to give me 3 insights, 3 lessons learned, and then I want you to give me 1 question. So for every chapter, you should have at least 10 bullet points. Sure enough, he does this thing, and then he comes in and he's like, I can tell you everything that happened in this story. He shows me the bullet points. He's got like a bunch of lessons learned, and I was like, oh, this is really good. So one
We
is the
even
thing
asked
about
more than one question.
he had multiple questions, and then I can respond, and now we can engage in a conversation because what he's done is now I have a receipt. Before I was just like, you know what, boy, I can't trust that you've read this thing, so go and copy it word for word. And
Mhm.
so I had him doing that rote for a couple of chapters. Now he only had to do like 6 chapters like this, and this is not a very large book, but um, man, was it a waste of his time.
Well, he was getting handwriting practice,
He was
which
getting
I'm
barely. His handwriting's not that awesome.
That upsets me separately. However,
Judgment. But at the same time, you know, he was writing it down, but the thing is he wasn't actually really comprehending what he was reading, even though he was writing it down. So I
yeah,
had a receipt that he had read it, but I didn't have a receipt of his comprehension.
yeah.
Now, with a timeline, insight, and questions, I have a complete gauge of how well he comprehended the chapter. Ooh.
And we're forcing him to actually practice communication. We're forcing him to ask questions, and we're forcing him to like what's repeat information in his own words. So he has to practice vocabulary, he has to practice sentence structure, he has to practice like question asking. So he has to practice all the bases of like effective communication,
Yes.
which
And
is excellent.
I read this tweet that said, you don't have ideas because you don't read. You can't articulate ideas because you don't write. You can't leverage ideas because you don't build. You feel bored, anxious, or overwhelmed because your mind wants ideas to flow, but you won't let them.
Yo,
Woo! Fire.
I was just literally going to say that exact word.
Okay. Ignis. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what I often say is that we learn English to learn to organize and articulate our thoughts, right? That's
Mhm.
why we study language arts. And that quote is exactly what I've been saying to these kids of why you go to school. When the kids are like, oh, school's boring. I don't like school. It's boring. And it's like, well, that's because you're a blockhead.
To be fair, our kids don't say that,
No, they
but
don't.
yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that we're getting at is okay, I needed to clarify what it was that we were operating from so that he could
Mhm.
understand. And so when I think, okay, what is the thing that I want a parent or a family member or like we're looking at what is it, devoted dads and mighty moms. We're looking for parents to do these things to improve their functioning so that they have more time to spend with their families. They have more time to do the things that they want to do with the people that they want to do it with, right?
Mhm.
And so thank you. That's the goal. That's what I want,
I say
you know,
I want that for us.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's what the font pack is the start of. And so I said, what's the core behavior, right? If the outcome is more time with the people you care about, then what is the activity that creates that? And I was like, I was really struggling, and I eventually came down to planning.
Yeah.
But
You
then I was
want
like,
people to streamline and systematize things.
yeah. And so I said, okay, planning, but then I got to that reading thing and I was like, well, okay, what is planning? Right.
Yeah.
And so planning in my mind is twofold. There's the strategizing and then there's the implementation.
Hmm.
Right. So the strategy portion is scope, schedule, and budget, right? Where are we going?
Yeah.
Right. What are the steps that we're going to take? What's the roadmap to get us there? The schedule. When are we going to do this shit in the first place? And what's it going to cost in time, money, you know,
All
things, people, bodies,
resources.
resources. And then the implementation is doing the sets and reps to accomplish this thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, I do this all damn day, is constantly making these things happen from start to finish with projects that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Like people throw random shit at me and they're like, oh, just give it today. He'll figure it out. Fine. And so I do.
Yeah.
But this is where it comes from is I've taken, I mean, I was reading 100 books a year for the last 15 years. Recently, I
Yo.
haven't had as much time to read because I've been doing more output production. Um,
You don't have as many bug task hours in your day anymore.
Correct. Like,
Yeah.
and that's why is that my constant absorbing of information, and it's not just absorption, it's reflection. I showed the kids that my notes for just this year, I have like 1,000 pages of notes that I've taken for 2025, and we only 10 months in, because I'm constantly, look at it, in arm's reach. My handy dandy graph paper notebook,
Which I have adopted.
right? You know, because if I can't write it down, I'm drawing a picture, and I want to understand something that I read. And that's exactly what I did, is that I read this chapter in this book, and that's it. I'm just like going all in on some of these book chapters. And I like read one chapter and I'm just like, oh, I need to reflect on that. And so I deep dive. Now, planning, strategy, and implementation. So,
Mhm.
how do we get a family who is struggling to organize the maelstrom of, you know, their lives, from, meal planning to communication to getting the kids out the door, keeping the
Maintenance.
house clean,
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I had a great response, great conversation ongoing with somebody who I just posted on Substack, and they were like, "Hey, my husband and I talk about this stuff all the time,"
Hmm.
and I was like, "Great, what are you struggling with?" And she was like, "We have all of these like all of this stuff, and we like, the house isn't very big, and so it's really easy to get really messy really fast. So we're trying to figure out how to organize things. We hired an organizer, we got a cleaner coming in all, every once in a while, like I think it was like once a month they have somebody come in and clean." And I was like, okay, I got something for you, because we just had the fire, we just had to figure out how to work all this stuff. And so that's what the O is in the fawn pack, or that's one of the components of the O, is inventory management. So I call this RTH. It's run the house, as instead of RTB, run the business. And so what do you need to do to run the house? Your house is basically a dorm or a hotel, and Erin used to run hotels. And I said, okay, well, Erin, how did you run a hotel? And she's like, well, everything's on a checklist. So we made a bunch of checklists. And the checklists are for a deep clean, a weekly maintenance, and a daily, quickly put away. So I worked in a kitchen, and you have the things that you're supposed to do to prep before your shift. You got the things that you do during the shift, and you got the things that you do, to close out at the end of your shift, and then turn it over for the next cook. And so that kind of stuff, and you want to prepare a lot, especially if you know that you're going to have a rush, for a certain portion.
Like
So
dinner.
yeah, dinner rush, lunch rush.
Yeah.
And I was working at like a diner style restaurant. Um,
Hmm.
so you gotta get your prep ready, and that mentality works really really well for operating your household.
Hmm.
So going back to my embarrassment, I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, woo, I'm embarrassed because it feels like I'm making Etsy, chore charts and whatnot. But instead of like highlighter colors, it's, meh, other stuff. Um, but
Very clean. Very
it's
streamlined.
it's clean, it's utilitarian, it's minimalist. That's what I do.
I love that.
And I use it, for the financial component. We are looking at um, a quick financial statement. So, you could get your Quicken, you could get an Intuit or whatever, but like this is just your household. And I think a lot of people, surprising amount of people, even if they're in finance, like I was in finance, I was consulting people on their finances back in the day, and I was just like, I don't know how to manage my own money. And so I better figure that shit out. And so I did. And the irony is, I've tried a bunch of the big softwares and I don't use most of them. I still basically operate off of a spreadsheet. Somebody in my grad school was like, hey, do you have a program that you like to use? I was like, nah, I just use Excel. And they're like, what? because there's too much noise. There's a lot of noise in all these like
The
products,
apps. Yeah,
the
yeah,
apps.
yeah.
Yeah. So what did I do? I said, okay, Aaron, we're going to have our monthly meeting. And so instead of a monthly business review, we have a monthly household review. And in the monthly house review, we go through our four departments and we figure out what's going on. What do we need to do? So for the financial component, I made a quick financial planner for Aaron specifically, and that's what I'm basically giving to the universe in this product.
And it's really
Um,
helpful.
so all you have to do is go and look at your checking account, your savings account, you generally should know how much you're getting per month in your paycheck or your pay stub. And then you forecast out what's coming for the rest of the year, month over month,
Yeah.
and you put in your liabilities, right? Here's my credit card, student loans, auto payment, whatever. And then it'll tell you what's your net income, what's your net worth. And you want your net income to be positive and your net worth to be increasing month over month. And if you hit those two things, congratulations, you have had a successful month.
Ta-da. And
Ta-da.
it really helps you to keep track of your like fixed and variable expenses each month, like because you know you're going to look at it to prepare for the meeting instead of just like, oh, that was unexpected. And that's when you check your, online banking or whatever. So you keep
Yeah.
track of your fixed and variable expenses and you really know like where you're spending your money.
Yeah. And on top of that, I added a subscription list. So the subscription list is because whoo, I realized I was accumulating and I needed to cut some of that shit out. So, this one is just a list of all of the subscriptions that you have, what bank account it's coming out of, who owns it, right? Yours, mine, ours. Is it active? Is it monthly or annual? When did you start it? Is it canceled? And then it'll basically project you the next 12 months out and say, how much the payment is. And so now in one sheet, I can see where all of my subscriptions are. And if you want, you can just put a link to the website. When you add a new subscription, and if you do that every month, every time you add a new subscription, now you know when that thing's going to come up. And if you're at your monthly review and you look what's coming up next month, then you know exactly how much you're going to pay for. And oh shit, I don't want to pay for that subscription. I'm gonna cancel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really good.
Yeah. I know we're actually kind of running out of time. We spend a lot more time talking about the therapy stuff. Um, but this all comes to, what do we say? I was like, how do I make it easier? So this is the fog behavioral model. So it's B equals MAT or MAP. So behavior equals motivation times ability times triggers. But it's not like times. It's basically a will skill matrix. So low will, high will, hard to do versus easy to do, or high competency, low competency, but the ability level is really what it is. And so if you imagine this graph where the point the bottom is things that are low motivation and hard to do, and then at the upper right quadrant, it's the things that are high motivation and easy to do, right? This is what video games are, right? This is why all your kids are playing fucking video games, is because they've made it really easy to do and you get dopamine spikes, every time you do something, every 10 seconds. So,
You're inundated with reward. You're going to feel highly motivated.
yeah. So this creates also a flywheel of perpetual looping, which is also known as a habit or an addiction. So, making these addictive processes is what you want to do, but for healthy activities.
Yeah.
And so, how do I create something that creates a virtuous cycle of positive habits, right? We actually talked to the youngest about this as well because I was like, he's like, well, why am I not getting to play video games? And I was like, well, because you've built a habit of video gaming more than you read. And it's like if you reverse those, I'll have no problems with you playing video games. But until you can develop that habit for reading and for reflecting on what you have read, then you're gonna have to cut the game time.
Mhm.
So, he's like, well, I don't feel like I'm addicted because, I only get screen time on the weekends. And I was like, yeah, but when the weekend comes around, you throw a tantrum if you can't play. Or, we track this. So we do weekly metrics. And so what he would have is he would have a green week and then he would have a red week and then he would have a green week and then he would have a red week for like 10 weeks straight. And it was like, here's the pattern we have noticed in your data. And he's like, well, what is that? And I was like, well, you get the thing that you wanted and then you slack off the next week.
Then when you don't get the thing that you want, you get remotivated to get it.
Right. And so instead of creating this loop, we're going to have you do something that's within your control and that also is stretching your comfort zone.
Mhm.
So now we've got this thing. And then once you've built that habit to a consistent way where I know you're learning things because I can tell from the texture of your conversation that you are learning, then we can renegotiate your screen time.
Mhm.
So this whole concept is coming from, okay, the biggest thing that you can adjust is the difficulty. Most people think that it's a motivation problem or, oh, this person's just lazy or they're procrastinating. It's mostly FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, and difficulty. And so if you've got a high fear, then they need incremental exposure. If you have uncertainty, you need incremental steps, right? The rungs on the ladder need to be shorter, or you need incremental understandings to start from what is known and move into the things that are unknown, one step at a time. If you have what is it, the first D, doubt, then you need evidence. You need, oh, here's some data points. Okay, great. 30 will generally get you 65% confidence interval. 150 will get you a 95% confidence interval. So all you need is 150 reps, and now you've got your evidence, right? But you need, in order to do these things, simplicity, safety, and feedback. And if those things are absent, then you're less likely to get the result that you want. So, how do you create that? How do I create that for the family people? Um, it's like, okay, you need to have a monthly meeting and you need to have a weekly meeting. And then Aaron's like, oh, yeah, this isn't very hard. And I was like, yeah, but I feel like a lot of people aren't going to do it. And so, what did you say about people fighting?
Oh, just how often do you fight now? Just schedule this instead.
Right. And so here's what we did. It's like, okay, ask the question. How often do you guys have a conflict? How often do you fight every week, every month?
Do
Right.
you spend 15 minutes a night after you both get home from work having a tiff because you're both tired?
Right. Or if you don't talk about shit and then you have like a blowout that's like a 3 hour like shouting match discussion and like, well, we need to sit down and talk about it, blah, 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 and have the emotional thing. Well, shit. And I just save you 3 hours. If every week you have like a 3 hour blowout, right? Have a 1 minute, 1 hour meeting. Cool. So instead of mounting losses from your 3 hour blowout, where you eventually like feel better, but nothing necessarily changes, and you just have that shit again next week or next month, then okay, well, let's take 1 hour out of your week that you would have been fighting, but the boxing, let's just give you gloves and referee.
Right? We said most boxing matches are scheduled, so just schedule some ring time with your spouse.
Yeah, if you guys are going to spar, then spar on purpose,
Yeah,
and wear gloves and head protection.
put it on the calendar.
Hey,
Yeah.
so that's one of the big things that is the behavioral change that we want to create is scheduling regular meetings with your spouse, scheduling regular meetings with your kids. We have kid connects every week. We have a one-on-one with each other every week, and we have a monthly review. And
And we have one-on-ones with the kids every other week. So every other week we each take a kid. So once a month we're both spending one-on-one time with each child, and then we can, refer back to each other. And that's harder now that they're back in school, but that's also really helpful too.
it is. And then you get a debrief and they get, time with each parent to know what are we doing here? What are we working with?
Hmm.
And then you don't like wake up and find out that your kid's got like a nose ring and face tattoos. You won't be surprised because they'll talk to you, because they'll
I
tell you,
know, right?
right? And you know, that's the place to be. So I know we just talked about the operation thing, but there's something for each of those components. Oh, we talked about operation and finance. The network thing is a phone tree. It's basically a really simple CRM for managing your roots, branches, and leaves. The people that are closest to you, people that are familiar, and then everybody else. You know?
Yeah, it's like a digital Rolodex.
Yeah. So each of these things now becomes what you can talk about in your meeting, how you can implement these things in your life. And if you are willing to commit an hour of your week to your family, also, oh, the command module. We've got weekly plannings. This is basically the
Mhm.
same format that I use, in my product meetings, which pff, these things are really efficient. you know.
It's really good.
So if you want, a corporate level meeting method for your family, that's what we do.
Hmm.
So that's the command module. Also, one-page strategy. So it does your mission, vision, values, your next 90 days, your 1 year initiatives, and your 3 to 5 year initiatives. So if you look at that every quarter at your monthly meeting, shoot, you just two then and again, it's 1 hour a month or 1 hour a week, and then your monthly review just ends up being your weekly review, but you take a little bit. Of a different format. And
Hmm.
every quarter, you then review your initiatives and you say, "Hey, how do we do?" And this is something I was saying to Aaron, and I'll leave on this note because I was feeling really down, right? Discounting the positive, as I am want to do. I don't want to, but I often do. And I said, "Well, what have I done? I feel like I was like I wake up and I felt like a failure, and I was like, okay, so what did I actually do in this year?" And I just started writing a list,
Quite a
and
lot.
yeah, I published a book. I've published over 50 articles on a newsletter that I started this year. I launched a a lead magnet. It's not like a full product, but it's a little something something. The Tough Talk template. We just launched this podcast, and we are now on episode 4. But we also had a podcast before where we had like 2 years worth of episodes. So
So
this
good.
is great. Um, I built an app in Python. I used AI for making that and planning out another app. So eventually, this household system will become an app that you can use that'll be super simple and everything's available. I actually finished writing a full-length historical fiction novel that should come out in the next couple of months. I created a workflow using another AI tool. I've mentored a student who got hired in 3 months of graduation. Way to go, Eric.
In his field?
In his field, no
Yeah.
less. I made a summer school curriculum for both of the boys, and they get A's in math and language arts now. And I've brought my little brother into the company to help me work on stuff. And
And you're helping him grow his career in his field too.
right, and you have launched your first business,
Yeah.
which I mostly just acted in an advisory role, but You did
Very
all
cool.
the lifting. I just basically gave you sets and reps.
It's awesome.
So I don't feel like such a loser right now when I read that list off. And it's not me bragging, it's me just like telling my discounting the positive self, shut up, you.
Right? Look
You
what
know?
we did.
Yeah. So um that feels really good to have made something that actually works, and I hope to make something that works for our audience. And next year we hope that this project will grow and our audience will grow with it, and we'll be able to be of service to
Yeah, we want to meet
more folks.
more of you out there and help you do this.
Yeah. Family stuff.
Yay!
Okay.
Okay, I'll see you at dinner.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.